This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports. It's start of 2023. We're up in Glean and obviously I already interviewed Jared Hughes this morning. Don't worry, obviously hasn't said anything bad about you. But I guess for you yourself, Conor, it's wheels in motion, ready to go again. You're back out again the 4th of February and it's going to be your first 8-rounder. I guess this is now starting the wheels are turning. I guess obviously now starting to build up and probably what's going to be a very busy 2023 for you.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. February 4th, about 4 weeks away now, is it?
4 weeks, 2 days.
4 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 days, 4 weeks, 48 hours now. And then, like you say, it's 8-rounder, so I'm glad, I'm really happy with that. I want to do as many rounds as possible, and then obviously you can push on then the 10 rounds and then 12 rounds down the line.
I guess obviously this year's a bit different for you. Obviously when you're coming in, Christmas, obviously the last couple of years you've sort of never had to worry obviously about weight and things because obviously you didn't know what was going on with your career. For once obviously over Christmas probably was a bit different for you, obviously knowing you have another fight coming up. But you started obviously, the way people make New Year's resolutions and things like that. Your things have changed now, whereas I want to get back boxing maybe last year. You've obviously now coming into what I think is your 4th fight since probably your return sort of coming back. Did this year sort of mean different to you? I guess obviously fought 3 times in pretty much 3 months. What's obviously changed that mindset? Just a case of just keep going as normal. Is anything sort of reinvigorated sort of for you over Christmas and New Year, where you sort of set plans in motion of where you want to be by the end of the year?
Yeah, that's it exactly. This is the first Christmas that I've had a fight on the horizon, but it's also the first Christmas I've been able to enjoy because although the last 2 years when I was home I wasn't fighting, it was the first Christmas that I came home. It was Christmas Eve that I found out that all this was going on and maybe I wasn't going to be able to box again. Got it all everything sorted out, and then it was the next Christmas again, same sort of time, Christmas Eve time, that I found out that they were still saying the same sort of thing. So for 2 years in a row there, Christmas Day for me was an absolute nightmare. I was just thinking, will I ever be able to box again and all that. And then this Christmas I'm waking up with a fight date and I'm absolutely buzzing. So like I said, it's the first Christmas that I've had to really knuckle down and maybe not eat as much on Christmas Day, but it's also been the first one that I've been able to say I'm really happy and I'm absolutely buzzing. Like,
you were able to ask Santa Claus for the bike again now instead, rather than obviously getting your boxing licence back. Like I've always been asking Jared there as well, like over Christmas, was it sort of just a case of eat your Christmas dinner, sort of throw the selection boxes to the side? I guess for you, you're pretty much like Jared at the fact that you've had higher metabolism at the lower weight, that it doesn't matter probably what you could eat, but I guess for you in your head and everything else, it's making sure that you're an athlete at the end of the day, so you can sort of enjoy your Christmas dinner, but then it's sort of back to porridge, sort of, so to speak, and back focused on I say, fighting in 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's it. So my nutritionist Piers Tohill, like I work with him all year round, and I have done since I come home from Australia. So nothing ever changes for me in terms of eating and stuff like that. It would just sort of be maybe like the week of a fight, you would sort of like alter your macros a wee bit and sort of up the intensity in your training and get more of a sweat on than a technical session, stuff like that. So for me, really, like I just listen to him, and every day it's sort of the same sort of thing. Like I have no issues with my weight or anything like that, and so it was the same in Christmas. Like I'm not a big chocolate fan anyway, so as long as I'm getting my Christmas dinner, I'm happy. That's all I want.
and I guess when you sort of look back, like, for having a lot of dark days and sort of, where you're going to box again, you probably couldn't have, imagined that sort of your return to boxing. I know obviously we spoke after your fight in the SSE, but you can now sort of, you've had that fight at the SSE, you probably went home and watched it back and everything else. Do you now I know obviously you're back to the Europa, and at the end of the day you're still in the development stage and stuff as well, but do you now start to dream of obviously maybe potential other fights higher up the card, title fights and everything else? Do you that dream now start to change and go, where can I go next? Where's Mark Dunlop going to get me a slot on, maybe a big card in England somewhere as well? There's so many opportunities for you, probably sometimes you don't even realise what could be ahead.
Yeah, that's it. I always have these sort of wee goals in my own mind, and like one of them was obviously the fight in the SSC arena, which was absolutely brilliant. I'm delighted I got to do that. And then obviously Mark's got me headlining the show in the Europa. So he's giving you a wee mix of everything. You know, you've got the big stadium show there with the SSC. I've obviously fought in Europa and Gertwood, which is two brilliant shows, and then he's letting you top the bill this time. So it'll be a complete different experience where, you know, you're not maybe first, second, third fight. You're going to be, you know, further on down the card, obviously, and then, like you're saying there, a show in England and stuff. That's all wee things that I would love to tick off the boxes as the fights go on. But like I think I've said before, everything that I sort of want to do, Mark's got the exact same agenda. So, you know, like I'm sure he's thinking the exact same thing there. And I love fighting in Belfast, you know, and to have so many fights in Belfast in a row there, this will be my fourth fight. It's unbelievable, and then I would love to get a show somewhere else in further down the line.
I guess when you sort of look at it and say you're headlining obviously in 4 weeks time, and as an 8 rounder, for you obviously at your weight class, sometimes it's harder to get like a BUA Celtic or BUA Irish title. Is sort of now maybe going past that stage, like I don't know, I'm probably maybe thinking of, you know, maybe one of the fringe European belts and maybe Commonwealth or things like that. What's the sort of plans that you sort of set for 2023? Is it, I guess it's just a period of time before you're going to get a title fight. Where would you like to see the end of 2023? You know, do you have sort of dreams that I want to be at 10 fights or I want to be at 12 fights? You want to get as active as possible. Mark at 5 shows last year as well. So do you just want to, I guess, keep ticking the boxes but start getting title fights as well?
Yeah, that's exactly the plan. You know, you're saying there, like the BUI Celtic title, all them sort of titles along the line are brilliant, but it is hard for me to fight for them because there's no one else really around in my weight division, and then obviously the different licensing boards and stuff like that. So, like he says there, you've got the fringe European titles, you've got the Commonwealth title, stuff like that, and I think, you know, at flyweight and super flyweight, like the guys that are fighting for the Commonwealth title and stuff like that, I would definitely be more than capable of beating them guys. You know, I would fight them tomorrow, but obviously it's more about development than anything. So it's, once you get to that level, you have to stay there. It's 12-round fights, so, you know, that's why I have Mark there looking after my career, because, you know, I would jump in for them fights next week. But obviously he's got the plan and he understands that, you know, getting to that level is one thing, staying there is another. So I think for the end of this year, definitely I would love to have a title over my waist. You know, I don't know what sort of title it may be, but I would like to have one of the sort of the bigger titles in my weight division. You know, and once you get that, then obviously boxing's a whole different world. Then, you know, you're getting the big TV fights and everything sort of starts to come flooding in, and that's exactly what every boxer wants.
Is that the sort of dream you have? It's sort of, you know, I know Mark's obviously done wonders, obviously gotten James Henderson contracts, obviously Matchroom, Tommy contracts, Nick Campbell with Boxer. Is that the ideal dream, I guess, to obviously get, you know, maybe the likes of Eddie Hearn or Ben Shalom at Boxer, you know, maybe potentially down the line where you can get a promotional contract with them? Obviously Mark's still managing and everything else, but is that the ultimate dream now, is they sink a big TV contract?
Oh, certainly. Like, that's what Mark Dunlap, everyone knows he's a man for that. Like, you know, like you says, you've named nearly all of his fighters, and every one of them's got a TV contract. And, you know, you've got Sky Sports there, obviously a boxer and Sky Sports. Like, for me as a kid growing up, boxing was Sky Sports, so that would be a dream come true to obviously fight under the Sky Sports promotional banner, or else Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, who's probably the biggest promoter in the world right now. So you've got all them different options, and, you know, for any young fighter coming up, that has to be the dream, because it's all well and good saying you want to win this and this, but, you know, obviously there's more to boxing than just your talent and the work that you put in. Obviously, to put on some big fights, it costs a lot of money, and, you know, some like title fights there, and it's probably only them sort of big promoters that would be able to do that and, you know, not take a serious loss. So, like, when I speak to Mark, that's always the plan. It's just a matter of when and who and stuff like that. And, you know, like saying there about the development and stuff, this is the development stage for me now. So, like, I'm just sort of focused on my next fight and then focused on the fight after that, and I know all them things will come then.
You sort of just keep focusing on the short term, and obviously in the long term, you know that Mark, you know, and obviously D obviously training you as well, that they've that covered for you. Just keep focusing fight after fight, just doing what you do. You know, I guess as the levels go up as well, we're probably going to see more and more of you, because obviously as an opponent's less defence minded and more in attack, we're probably going to see the best of Conor Quinn.
Yeah, that's it, 100%. Like, everyone sort of, like, I'm doing my bit. I'm in the gym training, and D's doing his bit, and Sean Crow's doing his bit, and Mark obviously, and, you know, and then I've got my sponsors are behind me, and like Bobby, and you know, they all gave me the opportunity just to train full time and focus on myself. And then, like you say, as the fights start to step up a wee bit, I think that's what'll bring the best out of me, and that's the fights that I want. And you know, I understand why you have to take the fights at the start of your career, but I just can't wait to be in them sort of 50-50 fights on TV, and where someone's coming to take my head off and they're leaving themselves open and they're not sort of worried about surviving. They're there to win, and then, like you said, that's when you'll see the least of me, because I don't think too many people will be staying up for too long if they're coming to take my head off. Like.
2022 was obviously an amazing year. Obviously, you back obviously fighting and stuff as well, but even more so for the gym. You know, gym completely undefeated. Obviously, the only sort of blemish, obviously was obviously your draw, which shouldn't have been a draw. But for obviously Paddy landing the ABO, Colm obviously winning the BUI and defending it. Owen obviously in his biggest fight of his career gets his first stoppage as well. I think he did one stoppage as an amateur, one stoppage as a pro. Obviously Lee Reeves obviously won in Canada as well. Like, what an amazing gym to be part of. You know, I guess, you know, when you were in Australia, I know you trained with Dee before you moved to Australia and everything else, but obviously when you were thinking of coming back home, could you have imagined that you were probably going to be joining, you know, arguably the best gym in the whole of Ireland?
No, definitely not. You know, like, I knew how good of a coach Dee was, but like all them fighters that you just named there, you think about, it was 3 years ago that I come home. Well, just over 2 years ago when I was thinking about coming home from Australia. And if you look at all them guys at that stage of their career, they were nowhere near this point. So, you know, they were all great prospects and great talents, but it just shows how your career can take off. Like Paddy, for instance, you know, he's world champion now, and like 2 years ago, obviously anyone that knows him and is watching him in the gym knows how good he is. But in terms of actual, like on paper, or when you're looking at these guys' records, they're just building themselves up, and then when the time's right, they'll definitely, you know, they'll take opportunities with both hands. But you know, you see yourself, Morty, the gym's buzzing day in, day out, and obviously there's loads of belts this year. There'll be loads of belts last year. There'll be loads of belts this year, and we've got a wee bit of everything. You know, you've got prospects on their way up with the likes of me and Jared, and Murph obviously still a prospect, and then you've got sort of them, you know, the Celtic title level fighters and ready to push on, and then obviously you've got Lee Reeves, who's the NABF.
NABA or NABF is one of the two.
One of the two, whatever belt that is in Canada, but it's a big belt, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, many people may not know it over here in this side of the world, but you know, he's ready to kick on, and then you've got Paddy at the top of the tree, so you couldn't really ask for much more, because, you know, it's all well and good. You look at some of these coaches and their fighters are all maybe world level. You've got fighters there that are, the coaches are, the fighters are all sort of European level, where he has a bit of everything, so it shows he can do it at every level, which I'm sure, you know, a young coach starting out, and you know what boxing's like, there's always questions to be asked from people around the world, and I'm sure people were asking that question today, but what about when his fighter gets to this level, how's he going to do? And Paddy's just went and shown everyone, you know, that we're capable of doing it all. Like,
it's good for you, I guess, to be in that mix with people at different levels as well, because, you know, we've highlighted it so many times. Obviously you want to be a multiple weight world champion. For you, it's obviously good in your development stage as well. You see fighters at different levels. I guess everybody wants to be Paddy. You know, they obviously have that big knockout power. You know, I guess in some ways, everybody's going to have different attributes, but everybody within the gym seems to have a blend of everything.
Yeah.
You know, you've obviously the fast hands, obviously the power, you have the footwork. You have a blend of everything. So if you can find wee 1% to take from everybody, then that effectively makes you the ultimate boxer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you know, you would see yourself day in, day out, like, we're all very competitive too, so if we're in there and we're doing a bit of body sparring or a bit of obviously light sparring, if I'm in with Paddy, obviously Paddy's just, you know,
he's about 15 stone heavier than, isn't he?
Exactly, you know what I mean? But when I'm in there with Paddy, in my mind, I want to hurt him, you know, so I'm thinking, right, he's a big puncher, I want to punch him harder, you know, and obviously never going to be able to do that, but it pushes me on. And maybe when I'm in with the likes of Murph, who's real, no, he's just a fitness freak, like, and
he's absolutely mad, isn't he?
yeah, that's it. And then when I'm in with him, I'm thinking, right, nah, I want to work him here. And then when you're in with the likes of maybe Jared Hughes, who's, you know, real good inside fighter, I'm thinking, right, I want to fight in the inside here. So we're all pushing ourselves and we're all pushing each other on. So, like you said, if you can take a wee 1% from every one of them guys, you will become a serious fighter, like, do you know what I mean?
And I guess it's sort of, you know, what you're saying there as well, like, particularly for Owen. Obviously, I know Owen's obviously said to me and stuff in the past, look, I don't have a brilliant amateur career, didn't really have a lot of fights, but they see in the biggest fight of his career, like I can obviously still remember in Girt Wood, obviously, he was obviously hurt on multiple occasions. But the training and everything else he's had over the last few years, he was able to keep grinding away, and the trust with Dee, and they end the fight in the way he did. I think that shows in a nutshell exactly what Glean's all about. It's not just gimmicks, there's a lot of hard work goes on, and the reason why he's are getting so many fights and so many titles is because he's prepared to go where other people don't.
That's exactly it, mate. Like, I know for what you're saying there with Owen about him saying he hasn't had the best amateur career and stuff, like, but I've seen Owen now in the ring sparring with people that were top amateurs, and maybe the same sort of people that would have looked down on the likes of Owen when he turned pro, thinking, what's he ever going to do? And I've seen Owen stop these guys from sparring, and it's a real good thing for everyone to see. It's good for people to see, for a bit of motivation and inspiration too, but it's also good for some of these guys that have that attitude. Like, I was a brilliant amateur fighter, or like, I would have done this to him back in the day. But boxing, it's a live sport, mate. As the days go on, everything, like, it's always changing, and you see, like, in the amateur game, and it's big gloves, headgears, and obviously less rounds and stuff. Whereas when you get into that pro ring with 8-ounce gloves, and you have the likes of Owen coming at you, and he's willing to give everything, as you've seen in Girt Wood, like I was, the punch obviously was amazing, brilliant knockout, but he went through hell during that fight, and he came out on top. So I think, yeah, like you said there, I think it shows that the work that's being put in the gym, and we're all willing to do that. Obviously, you don't want to be doing that every fight. You don't want to have them fights all the time. And best case scenario for me is go out, touch gloves, and one punch knockout. You know what I mean? But you will have them nights, and no one's got it there, and I'm sure I'll have it too. And we can show that we will go through whatever we need to go through and get the win, no matter what.
How have obviously, with you obviously back in the ring, how's it sort of changed for you outside of it? Because obviously I know you said before that you praise your family and obviously your partner Jessica, and obviously the fact that keeping you where you are now. Do you feel that you're happiest now that the fact that you're back doing what you love? For a lot of the time you were going, am I going to fight again? Where you have a long-term sponsor in Australia and everything else, but still supporting you even though you weren't fighting. How do you find that balance now out of the ring? Do you find you're now at your happiest, or are you not going to be happy until you sort of get to the levels of where you expect your talents are?
It's strange because like, where I was obviously a couple of years ago, not knowing if I was going to box again and stuff, I should be at my happiest now, but it takes me to think back to then and then say, no, like, I am very, very happy in my everyday life. I'm very happy, definitely, but in terms of the sport, I'll not be happy until I've reached them goals, obviously. And it's a strange situation, because people might look at that and go, geez, how could you ever be happy? But you don't really want to be happy in this game, Morty, and like, you're content. I'm definitely content with how everything goes, and I love like, when I walk out of that gym every day, I'm very happy because you've got a good session and you're around good people. But in terms of where I want to go in boxing, this is only the start. Like, your hand gets raised, a hand got raised on February 4th, and you'll be happy for a day or two, and then it's just on to the next. So it's a type of sport where you're never really happy. You'll probably never be happy until you hang the gloves up. But
then even at that, would he still be happy? Obviously speaking to James Henderson recently, and obviously him walking away from the sport, and he's stayed within the sport. He's obviously now helping in corners and everything else, but you're only really your happiest when you're in the ring. Yeah. It's probably your happiest moment. The adrenaline starts to wear down, and I don't think even when you would retire, you go, do you know what? Maybe if I give it another year. It's in mind games at play, but you have a long time left in the sport as well, so you don't even have to think of hanging the gloves up anytime soon.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Obviously, with James, it's not the perfect situation. Obviously, I don't know what went on too much, but I'm sure he would love to fight. He would love to be still fighting and stuff. So even saying that there gives you a wee wake up call to enjoy it a bit more too. But you know what I mean? And like he says, you hear that from all the fighters, even some of the all-time greats, and maybe end up with a perfect record or all the belts that you can win, but they're still, like you say, you're not happy until you're in that ring. So maybe you'll come back and do a bit of sparring. Then that's how you keep yourself going. Then
I guess 4th of February, obviously 30 days from today. What can we sort of expect? Obviously, I guess it's 8 rounds. I guess it's sort of where you've had to see sort of opponents sort of having to survive and sort of try and cover up. What can obviously people expect to see? Is it going to see anything different? Obviously now moving up to 8 rounds, I guess. You could go going for days. I've seen Colin Murphy there as well. He could fight for 15 rounds. You'd probably be the same. What can people expect to see? Obviously, are they going to see any new improvements to your game in 4 weeks?
Yeah, definitely. There's always going to be improvements, but I think what you sort of expect now is more, just sort of more like more meaningful punches. I think over 8 rounds, you can sort of, as the fight goes on, I think you'll start to see the punches take their toll, and that's obviously if you go the full 8 rounds. But I think with the small gloves and my sort of style of fighting, I think I'm good at breaking opponents down. And you seen the SSC there. I think it was maybe the 4th round, they landed an uppercut and cut that guy's eye, and it was a bad cut. He's 7 to 8 stitches after it. So you imagine having to do another 4 rounds with that. Like, it's just, I think the longer rounds will definitely suit me. And for anyone coming to watch, you can always just expect entertainment, because I'm there to hurt people. And I think the ring's a wee bit smaller too. It's more of what I would consider a professional boxing ring. Sometimes you get in the ring, things will be a bit bigger, and it suits the guys to sort of try and survive. But I think the Europa, it's a small ring, it's a brilliant crowd, and the atmosphere will be unreal, and everyone wants to see blood and guts, and that's what I want to bring.
I guess sometimes when you sort of look at it, and it's a sort of, it's a 6 of one, half a dozen another, whether you want the rounds or you want the stoppages, I guess the knockouts are what people want to see, because that gets people talking. But it's finding that fine balance sometimes to go, do I want the rounds? If a knockout comes, happy days. But at the end of the day, sometimes when you're still in the development stage, the rounds can be crucial, potentially when you move up to 10 and 12 rounds.
Definitely. I think now that last fight in the SSC, I was delighted that I got the 6 rounds, because the most I'd ever gone was 4, and before that it was 2 or 3. So I think now that I've done the 6 rounds, I felt brilliant. I could have done another 6. So it was a wee sort of mental barrier there probably for me, without even realising, wanting to go 6 rounds just to make sure fitness is good, everything's good. You already know that, but just to reassure yourself. And I've done that. So from now going forward, I'm not really fussed on getting the rounds anymore. Obviously, I'm not going out to try and knock every opponent out, but if the opportunity comes, I wouldn't think twice about taking it. And you probably start to fight a wee bit faster, also knowing that you can go 6 rounds. If you can go 6 rounds, you can go 8 rounds. Do you know what I mean? And
finally, obviously, on tickets, obviously I know the show's starting to sort of gather speed now, the first sort of show of 2023. Have you got many tickets left? And if you have tickets left, how can obviously people get them from you?
Yeah, no, tickets have been unbelievable. I think obviously I got a few more tickets this time because I'm headlining the show, but I think I've only got a handful left, a couple left, and if anyone wants them, obviously just send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram. But I'd say maybe in the next couple of days there might not be too many left, so just anyone looking them.
Fantastic. So if you're looking tickets, obviously get on quick. But also want to thank you obviously once again for your time. I'm sure obviously we'll catch up with you obviously after you obviously have another one under the column on the 4th of February. But obviously I'm sure we'll catch up with you very soon.
Yes, thanks very much, Morty. Thank you.